Breaking news in real estate, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent just dropped a bombshell. The Trump administration is preparing to declare a national housing emergency this fall. And for the first time, we're hearing serious talk of slashing tariffs on construction materials to try to bring down home prices. Now, on the surface, that sounds like great news. Who doesn't want cheaper lumber, steel, drywall, right? But if you own a home, if you're trying to sell a home, or if you're one of the millions of buyers waiting on the sidelines, you need to know this could have a massive ripple effect. Imagine this. You walk into Home Depot tomorrow morning and lumber prices have dropped 20% overnight. Sounds like a win. But then imagine 6 months later, the home you bought for $500,000 is suddenly worth $460,000 because builders flooded the market with cheaper homes. This isn't just about the cost of wood and nails. This is about your mortgage, your neighborhood, and for many Americans, your biggest store of wealth, your home. So in today's episode, we're breaking down exactly what this national housing emergency means, not just nationally, but here in Phoenix, Scottsdale, and Chandler, and the rest of the valley. And trust me, there are both opportunities and landmines ahead. So let's start with what was actually announced. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said the administration is weighing a formal declaration of a national housing emergency. That opens the door to all kinds of government action, funding programs, regulatory rollbacks, even tariff policy changes. The headline move? Cutting tariffs on imported construction materials, things like lumber, steel, drywall, copper, and aluminum. Now, why does this matter? Well, builders have been paying inflated prices for years, ever since the pandemic supply chain mess. Those costs get passed on directly to the buyer. And if you've ever wondered why that new build in Queen Creek is $50,000 higher than it was just a few years ago, well, those material costs are a huge part of it. Now let's get specific. Lumber has been one of the biggest culprits. A typical 2,000 square foot home can use 16,000 board feet of lumber. If tariffs and supply issues add just $5 per board foot, that's an $80,000 swing in the cost right there. Steel beams in custom Arcadia homes, thousands more. Drywall and Buckeye new builds, another 5 to 10 grand. So the idea here is drop tariffs, lower costs, and give builders a way to complete projects that have been stalled for a while. In theory, cheaper materials should mean more homes get built faster, but as you'll see in a minute, it's not quite that simple. Here's an example. Let's take a $500,000 home in Chandler. At today's mortgage rates, around 7%, the monthly payment, including taxes and insurance, comes to roughly $3,300. That exact same home at 4% would have been closer to $2,200. That's $1,100 more every single month, real money out of families' budgets. At the same time, inventory is climbing. The Phoenix area now has the highest number of homes on the market in a decade, but higher supply hasn't translated into more sales because payments are still brutal. So what happens? The transactions stall. Builders sit on unsold homes. Buyers wait it out. And the broader economy suffers because construction jobs and home sales drive so much of our growth here in Arizona. From the government's perspective, that combination, stalled sales, unsold inventory, job losses, feels destabilizing. Hence the emergency. So let's talk about what cheaper construction materials really mean. Builders are thrilled at the prospect. Lower costs means they can finally finish those half-built subdivisions in Queen Creek, Mesa, Goodyear, and Buckeye. Projects that were frozen because they weren't penciling out could suddenly come back to life. But here's the catch. Don't expect home prices to fall off a cliff just because wood and steel got cheaper. Builders rarely slash prices out of the goodness of their hearts. Instead, what they do is use that cost relief to incentivize buyers. Picture this. You're a buyer walking into a builder sales office in Santan Valley. The rep says, "We'll knock $20,000 off the base price, we'll throw in free appliances, and we'll buy down your mortgage rate for the first 2 years." Meanwhile, a homeowner down the street is trying to sell their 10-year-old resale. No incentives, no rate buydowns, no shiny new appliances. Which home do you think buyers are going to choose? This is how tariff cuts ripple out into the resale market. Builders with deep discounts and incentives force resellers, ordinary homeowners, to slash their asking price if they want to compete. So yes, buyers may see some relief, but for homeowners looking to sell, this could be a headwind. Now, we've seen versions of this movie before. After the 2008 crash, government stimulus and builder activity created wild swings in the market. I'll give you a quick example. In 2010, I remember homes in Surprise that had sold for $280,000 just 4 years earlier were suddenly on the market for $130,000. Entire neighborhoods in Queen Creek and Buckeye looked like ghost towns. The big difference today is interest rates. Back in 2008, financing was cheap. Today, even if we lower the cost of building homes, financing remains expensive. That means demand could still lag because buyers simply can't afford the monthly payments, even if the sticker price looks better. So the lesson is clear. Cutting tariffs might help supply, but it doesn't fix the cost of money. And that's what makes this moment so tricky. So who comes out ahead and who gets hurt? Let's break it down. The winners: big national builders. Think Lennar and D.R. Horton, who can now undercut smaller competitors. Buyers, lucky enough to grab discounts or incentives. Renters, if new supply finally eases rental demand. Who are the losers? Homeowners trying to sell in neighborhoods flooded with builder incentives. Smaller local builders who can't compete on scale. Potentially taxpayers footing the bill if subsidies are used. Now imagine a family in Gilbert trying to sell their home. They're competing against a new community down the road where buyers get $30,000 in upgrades for free. That resale family either has to cut their price or sit on the market. And then there's the small builder in Goodyear. They've been scraping by, but now national giants swoop in with cheaper material costs and huge marketing budgets. That small builder may not survive. So yes, there will be winners and losers, and sometimes they live right across the street from each other. Let's zoom in here in Phoenix. The Cromford Market Index, our best measure of supply and demand, is down significantly. Homes are sitting longer, days on market are climbing, and the sellers are cutting prices more often. Now, tariff cuts will affect different parts of the valley in very different ways. Places like Queen Creek, Santan Valley, Buckeye, and Goodyear, areas dominated by new construction, will feel it the most. Those markets can see an oversupply if builders suddenly flood them with discounted homes. On the other hand, areas like Arcadia, North Central Phoenix, and McCormick Ranch may hold up longer. They have stronger demand and limited land for new building. But even those areas aren't immune. If enough supply comes online in the suburbs, it drags down the entire metro area. Now let's not forget Gilbert's Seville community, Mesa's Eastmark, and Verrado in Buckeye. These are massive planned developments. They'll be ground zero for the impact of cheaper construction. And here's another angle: investors. If investors sense prices are about to slide, they may start unloading properties, adding even more supply to the pile. So here's the big question. Could this backfire? On paper, cheaper materials should mean more affordable homes. But what happens if we overshoot? Too much supply can push prices down rapidly. Buyers may cheer, but homeowners who have been banking on appreciation should brace for the opposite. Negative equity becomes a risk. Sellers may freeze. And remember, real estate is driven by confidence. If people believe the market is sliding, that belief itself becomes a reality. So the government has to walk a very fine line. Stimulate supply enough to bring relief, but not so much that you collapse home values. Historically, that balance is rarely struck perfectly. So here we are at a crossroads. Relief for builders could mean more homes, lower costs, and opportunities for buyers. But it could also mean oversupply, falling prices, and stress for current homeowners. The question I'll leave you with is this: will this plan save the market or sink it? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And if you're buying or selling in Phoenix, Scottsdale, or anywhere in the valley, reach out to me directly. I've been through these cycles before, and I can help you navigate this one with a clear plan. And of course, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you'll never miss one of these updates. In real estate, information isn't just power, it's profit. I'm Charles Fratantoni with HomeSmart Realty. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.